we're very focused on the midterm elections. I think because what the president has set in motion is a long-term economic revitalization effort for this country, I really want us to win the midterms, because if the Democrats get in power, they're going to try to screw up a lot of the great things the president of the United States has done over the past 10 months. Again, trees that have been planted, some of which won't even bear fruit for a few years. I don't want the Democrats to screw that up.
US President Donald Trump has signed a bill to end the longest government shutdown in the country's history. 8 Democrats sided with the Republicans to pass the bill, ending a 43-day lapse that saw federal workers go without pay and travellers become stranded at airports.
The longest government shutdown in American history now over after 43 days and a bitter feuding between the two parties and painful consequences for the American public that were just piling up by the day. That is now over. The bill passed the House on Wednesday evening. The vote was 222 to 209. That vote came as a result of 6 Democrats voting with all but 2 Republicans, those Democrats coming mostly from swing districts, breaking with their party leaders who are trying to push them to vote against this bill because of their concerns that the final product did not include an extension of expiring subsidies under the Affordable Care Act. It was that fight, that demand by Democrats that ultimately led to this prolonged shutdown fight. Democrats were concerned that if those subsidies were not extended immediately, people would see their premiums skyrocket. The 22 million people or so who do get their health insurance through Obamacare would be hit hard by those premium increases. And they insisted that any funding bill must be tied to an extension of those health care increases. Well, that did not happen. In fact, at the end of the day, a deal was cut by the Senate on Sunday night that would not include the health care provisions in that bill. It was now a separate commitment that they got from the Senate Majority Leader to have a vote on a separate bill on health care at a later date. The question is going to be what will ultimately happen with that bill. It's unlikely to pass the Senate and is unlikely to even get a vote in the United States House. Meantime, those Democrats who voted yes are explaining their position and why they broke from their party, including Congressman Don Davis, who comes from a swing district in North Carolina. I caught up with them in the immediate aftermath of the vote.
But you could have dug in, and you could have fought to include this in the bill.
And I could have reopened the government because a lot of people are hurting right now. And that's what I did.
Was the shutdown worth it?
Was it worth it? Again, I'll put it this way. You have to start the process by trying. You have to allow an opportunity to talk and allow the negotiations to take its place. I mean, did I want more? Absolutely, I wanted to see more. I would love for us to prepare for the holidays and know that people, their minds are at ease.
But this bill only keeps the government open, a fair amount of the federal government, through January 30th, which means that there'll be another fight that will intensify almost right away, beginning in December, over the issue of health care. It could lead into the new year, and it could prompt another shutdown fear by early next year. But at the moment, federal employees breathing a sigh of relief, the ones who can now get paychecks in the aftermath of this feud, where they were not getting paychecks. Many hundreds of thousands were furloughed, people not getting federal food aid. Now that coming to an end in the aftermath of this bitter feud, leading to a law reopening the government.
Government is open.
That's right.
Okay, longest shutdown in history. Can you tell me what the point of all that was?
I wish that I knew, Sean, because here's what the Democrats actually accomplished. They caused a lot of stress for our troops. They made our air traffic controllers not get paid. They caused a lot of flight cancellations. They had a lot of people thinking they weren't going to get their food benefits. All for literally nothing, Sean, because we could have struck this exact deal 45 days ago. In fact, we met with Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer and said, we will pass this exact deal. They said no. They put the American people through a ton of pain and suffering for nothing. And we knew this was going to happen, Sean. We knew the President of the United States said every single day, eventually the Democrats are going to realize this is an absurd position. We've got to reopen the government. And that's what they did. We're going to win the midterms. We're going to do everything that we can to win the midterms. And then after that, I'm going to sit down with the President of the United States and talk to him about it. But let's focus on the now, because we've got well over a year to do as much as we can for the American people. And my attitude, Sean, is look, if we do a good job, the politics will take care of itself. If we do a terrible job, the politics will take care of itself in the other direction. So I'm just going to focus on the job that I have.
Donald Trump has commemorated Veterans Day in the American state of Virginia. He was joined by Vice President JD Vance, paying tribute to American service members who fought in the conflict. Yeah, that weather's certainly dropping all right, isn't it? Windy and cold. The president participated in a wreath-laying ceremony and later spoke at the event, honouring the fallen service members.
Thank you for carrying America's fate on your strong, very broad, and proud shoulders. Each of you has earned the respect and the gratitude of our entire nation. We love you, we salute you, and we will never forget what you have done to keep America safe, sovereign, and free. Thank you very much.
Well, Kamala remains a contender, incredibly, for 2028. And on the other side, we've got JD Vance. He continues to impress the Republican base, and that Republican base is now the MAGA base. Listen to this chant for the vice president.
Not even halfway done. So here's I don't know what you're saying, but it sounds awesome. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, ladies and gentlemen.
Are they right, Josh? Is he 48? Does anyone have a realistic hope of unseating him as the next Republican presidential candidate?
Well, as of right now, Rita, I think that he is the extremely early, extremely preliminary front runner, but it's very, very, very far from a shoe. And I actually was just looking at some recent polling data for the Vice President of the United States, JD Vance, and the one poll that I saw from NBC News had his approval rating currently at 39%, 45% disapprove. That's still a lot of folks who neither approve nor disapprove. They probably don't have an opinion one way or the other, but he is, under 40% on the approval. So I think it's very far from a shoo, and he certainly is very popular, I think, with large swaths of the MAGA base. But I think it's going to be a competitive primary for what it's worth. I think that at least one, possibly other current Trump cabinet members will probably enter the fray. Marco Rubio is the name that is most often mentioned. I would not be surprised, frankly, to see someone else, maybe even a Pete Hegseth, a Scott Bessent. I mean, I would not be surprised to see some former governors, some current senators. Maybe it's a Ron DeSantis, a Ted Cruz. I don't know what it is, but I don't think that JD Vance is going to skate this thing through. I think it's actually going to be a very competitive primary there. There's a lot of time left, right? I mean, this administration's barely started. We're less than 1 year into this 4-year administration there. So the vice president has a lot of time to leave a lasting impression on the voters when it comes to domestic policy, when it comes to foreign policy there. I would like to see him really kind of hone in on certain areas there. He should pick, I think, in my judgment, he should pick a couple of issues to really make his issue, own that issue, and show to the American people how you can lead the way on one issue as a precursor of how you can then lead the country more generally on all the issues.